Hello everyone. I wanted to do a little demo today to help you navigate the process of making an animatic for folks that are doing that, or just generally for editing something for your demo reel potentially, or really anything that involves video because I use After Effects all the time and I would highly recommend it for doing an animatic. I kind of hate Adobe, but I'm totally I just I don't know how I would do it without it, honestly. So yeah, I'm just gonna do a quick little walk. Well, we'll see how quick it is, but I'm gonna do a walkthrough today, showing you kind of how to approach your animatic. And thanks, Sophie, for volunteering your storyboard so that I can use that as an example. So Sophie, I'm just gonna go through this. Hopefully, it's all yeah, all the layers are turned on with each group. Clip Studio will do this fine too, by the way. I don't. You might have to translate some of how I do this into the Clip Studio way of doing it, but I'm pretty sure you can do basically the same thing. Maybe it's even easier. I don't know, to select multiple groups and basically save them all out. So let me just see something. Yeah. Okay. Great. We're all good. So yes. So in terms of like how to lay out a animatic. Okay, so basically there's so much that I want to say here. I don't even know where to begin. Let's see what makes the most sense. So, I mean, this is one way to do it, the way that Sophie has done it, where you have, and this is actually not the beginning of her storyboard, it's over here, but that's okay. I'm just going to do this one. So we've got these different groups, and as you can see, that the background is duplicated into different groups. Big fan of that idea. Honestly, it saves you a ton of time to just not have, like, especially if you're doing this all in one big file, not to have one background across three different frames if there's different poses. Although there is, you could have, for example, in this case, because we have different poses across these three groups. So here's the character now being dragged by the moth character. So you can kind of see the moth there, and there's the arm of the character, and then we have the character. So yeah, so I mean, another way to have done this is to have one group with the background and then 4 poses, and you would label that pose 1, pose 2, pose 3, pose 4. The problem with that is that you have to save, it's a little bit slower to save out. It's a little bit better this way. I guess the alternative is you just have one pose and then we keyframe it in After Effects. But anyways, we'll discuss that later. So this is a perfectly fine and straightforward way to do it, is to have everything in its own layer grouping. So yeah, and then we have the next scene and then the next scene. And okay, so basically this one is all one scene, all one shot with different poses within it. Every time you change camera, it's a new shot, obviously. I think that makes sense. And then there's like scene and then there's sequence. And then a scene is like a collection of shots that are all in the same location. Generally speaking, that's how it works. And then a sequence is like, it's almost more of a, like a convenience, like a sequence is just a whole section that's related. So it's just different ways of giving hierarchy. So this is all the same sequence, but we do move around a little bit. Okay, great. So in this is an interesting case here where there's this moth that's sort of about to drop this character, but then this fish jumps up and eats him. And so this is a case where it's easier to do this keyframing it in After Effects, that there's a bit of motion rather than just showing individual storyboard panels of it. So I want to talk about that a little bit, of when it makes sense to actually keyframe something using motion in After Effects. And I'm going to show you a little bit of how to do this. But okay, simply let's just use it with Sophie's basic format here. So I'm just going to go super straightforward here. I'm usually a fan of doing 3 digits. And then if you need to add more, then you do that. Or 2 or whatever, right? Because sometimes you do want to add more in between, so it just helps to kind of organize yourself. There might be a better way to do this, honestly, but This will work fine. So if I'm really fussy, like with this big project I'm working on right now, it actually makes much more sense to even give it a short title. Jumping in the air, you know, a little title does help, but for this, you don't really need it. That's more for like organizing later on. But okay, great. So this should work. So I'm just going to select every group, right click, export. And another option is to quick export as PNG, but I actually like export better because I actually want JPEGs. Because if you have PNGs, you have transparency. And it's funny, in most cases you want transparency. In this, it's actually easier not to have transparency. Good for you, Sophie. You have the good, nice, high resolution. That's what I want to see, not 1980 by 1920 by 1080. This is right. So even though my layers are hidden, notice how it still grabs them. It still grabs all the stuff in them. You can turn off any of these. The export as function in Photoshop is fantastic. It's so much better than just like saving out individually. So please do this, folks. It'd save you a ton of time. You can go into each one of these and change the scaling. I don't really care. Like for this purpose, I wouldn't really care about the scaling because look at the size, look at the file sizes. So it gives you all of this information, and this is so tiny that it doesn't matter. If you have very limited values, no color, and just like a few gray values, the more that you have shading and rendering, the more this file size will go up. But as it is, the file size is almost nothing, so don't worry about it. So anyways, all of that's pretty much good, the way that it's set up. See, we can just click through and see that everything's there. So now we want to, yeah, and you can even, to be honest, I don't really mess with much of this. You could scale it down if you wanted to, and then just scale it up or whatever, or change the quality, and then it really drops that file size. But it's so small anyways that I wouldn't really care about this. But the cool thing is, check this out. So if you ever want to adjust a bunch, hold shift, grab all of them, and then you can do this all at once. Isn't that amazing? So great. Only for the ones that I selected. So yeah, the export as function is actually like super powerful. So definitely use this guy. And you can add a suffix so that it's like zero, I don't know, sequence 1. Let's do that. What does that mean? Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. So to be honest, I haven't used that very much, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, okay. So yeah, Sophie, I'm just gonna put a new folder in here. So Animatic scenes. It is important to kind of be somewhat consistent. So it's gonna take a moment because it's saving out a whole bunch of images at once. Done. So look how fast that was, right? That was so efficient for 0. No, I'm just kidding. It's so efficient for saving out a whole bunch of scenes. Okay, so I'm going to start a new project here. And as we can see, if I go to this, here it is. Here they are. Wow. All exported all in one shot. So yeah, again, I hope there's something similar in Clip Studio. I know there's not in Procreate, at least I'm pretty sure. So this is where using a bit more feature-rich software really pays off to save your butt, at least your time. So when you open up After Effects, it's pretty much this. It asks you if you want to open a file or a new file. You just want to start new. So the first thing is I just want to acquaint you with, and you're not going to have some of it. You're not going to have Duick. This is a free, oh, you can't see that anyways. I'm going to put myself over here. So Duick is an amazing free plugin that everyone should get if you're ever using After Effects. It's free, but you should donate because they're wonderful. They've been doing this for years for free, and it's crazy how prolific this plugin is. Like everyone uses it. You can rig characters with it. It's so great. Like it's free and it's so feature rich. So yeah, please make a donation. So, you know, whatever. But it's such a great plugin. Anyways, we'll get to that. There we go. And then it just kind of does its load. It just has like some cool features, like a great camera rig, and there's awesome little animation tools so you can do automatic wiggles, automatic bounces, and all that stuff, but maybe not needed for this purpose. It's a little more from, well, but then you can rig characters with it too. There's a whole character rig thing in this for different animals and whatnot. But anyways, maybe a little bit advanced for what we need. So anyways, when you open After Effects, you're going to get the project. This is where you dump all of your files, whether it's video, audio, images, anything. Please note that there is different little menus in each of these. So there's project, and then there's also effect controls. And this is good, especially if you're using one screen. After Effects works so much better if you use multiple screens, but maybe you don't have that option. So it's fine to use this way too. This is your timeline. So there's nothing in it yet because we have no files or anything in here. This is your composition window. This is where we're going to see what the video output is going to look like when you export it. You can click on individual layers in your project, and then it opens here. It's a very similar sort of layout. Yeah, you know, it's pretty much like the main windows are project, composition, timeline. You're going to use the effects controls once you start adding effects like blurs and stuff, but you can also access that in the timeline as well. So I'm just going to, so the first thing is before I even, like you can double click this and it asks you what you want to bring in. You can also press Control I for import. It'll also ask you the same thing. But I'm a big fan of making folders for your, just to organize things like audio, video, effects, snow, fog, I don't know, whatever. So I'll just say storyboard panels. Great. So now I'm gonna, and if you have that group selected, Control I, and then it asks you what you want to bring in. So, and for some reason Windows sucks and you have to find it every time. I'm amazed that they still haven't fixed that, but anyways. Okay, so hold shift. So, okay, important thing here. Oh, it did say sequence 1 at the end. So you can see the suffix did work. It'd be kind of nice if there was a prefix. You know what? I think what I should have done is actually done the 001 to whatever as a suffix. And if you do 001, I think it'll add a number to it each time. So yeah, that was a bit silly. But I mean, this is fine too. And the nice thing about it is that it doesn't, because it's not just 001, 002, sometimes this is checked on, and what it will do, yeah, I don't know. Okay, maybe it doesn't do that, but with other stuff, actually like what I had before with my own scene of animation, see if I click this, it assumes that it's an animation of PNGs, so then PNG sequence is automatically clicked on, and it'll bring it all in as one file that basically functions as a video because it takes all of the frames that matches this naming format. So you want to uncheck that and then select all of them manually. Just that's important. Otherwise, it'll all just be one. It'll basically be like bringing in the video file of all those images. Okay. So if you want individual images, you have to uncheck the sequence thing there. Now I need to go back and find my thing again. No. Windows. Okay. Here we are. Okay, so I'm just gonna, again, it doesn't do that because I have the sequence 1 that's blocking just the number from being read normally. Hey, that one just says 15. I named it wrong. Oh, I can't bear it. I must rename it. Oh, that's the wrong thing. Okay, there we go. I like consistency. So just select them all, press enter, hold shift as of course to bring in a whole bunch. This is really cool. So one way to do this is to, like, you know, you can say new composition. New composition is just a collection of different images, audio, video, whatever. It's your video basically. So as soon as you do that, it asks you what kind of video you want. This is fine because we're exporting this. So the export only needs to be that. So but it's always better to have your images be larger so that you're scaling down versus the alternative. Alternatively, I could also export this in 4K, but for this, it doesn't really matter. I don't know anyone that would export an Animatic more than that. Everything else is right. Square pixels, yeah, 24 frames per second, important. Full, well, I mean, we can change this anytime. The duration, you can change that after the fact though, so that's pretty much it. But so that's one way, and then now I have this little composition right there, and then I can double click that, and that loads. You can see it down here. And so now there's a black thing. There's nothing in it yet. If I throw something in it, there we go. It's right there. And it's bigger because we know it's a bigger resolution. So, but that's not the way we want to do this. So better than that, because this makes like an automatic animatic for you. So it's kind of awesome. Oops. By the way, folks, I don't know if you can see this, but a mouse with a little sideways scroll. See, I have a scroll here and then a sideways scroll. Kind of useful when we use the timeline or anything like this where you need to kind of look this way as well as up and down. Can't recommend it enough. Use it all the time. Anyways, okay, I'm going to grab all of these. So again, hold shift. So I click one, hold shift. By the way, to remove some of them, control is the one you want to add or remove just individual ones. But I want all of them in this case. Okay, click and drag to that little composition thing right there. That's the little composition sign. When you do that, it asks you if you want multiple composition. You always want single. And it asks you what you want each still image to be on screen for. Get used to this in After Effects. This is always the same. So this first thing is frames. So of 24, so it's 7 frames and 3 seconds, and those are minutes and those are hours. So just keep that in mind because some people think these are seconds and those are minutes. That is not. This is frames. These are seconds. Those are minutes. Anyways, okay. And this is asking not the overall duration, but the each still. So it knows that you're trying to bring in a bunch of stills into a sequence. So it's kind of like making a slideshow. So it says like, how long do you want each one on screen for? Let's just do, well, maybe 3 seconds actually, I guess. I don't know. It depends on the sequence. So, yep, dimensions. So if you have, I don't know, if you have different resolutions, which you absolutely shouldn't, then you'd want to pick the largest, or, well, I don't know. It's just asking you what dimensions, like 1980 by 2080, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And you want to sequence the layers. If you don't do this, it'll stack them all on top of each other. And then you'll have to move them out in the timeline. If you do sequence layers, it's really cool. Press OK. Look at that. So it perfectly. So let me just do that again. So if I do that again without sequencing them, turn it off. It gives you all of the things. So it's only a 3 second long entire composition, and all of them are just stacked. So again, you want to make sure that sequence is checked on when you do this, like that. Okay, boom. So now it also, notice how it puts it in nice order. If you labeled them right, usually After Effects will understand what you're trying to do, and it will put them in order. Good hotkey is actually, wait a second, what am I doing here? I should be getting my little key thing on. Here we are. Okay. I don't know. Just hold on 1 second, folks. Just want to make sure that this is working. I'm just not seeing it on. I want to make sure. Yeah, that should be fine. There we are. Okay, now you can see. Yeah. Okay, great. So anyways, this command, so if you're zoomed in really far, control and I guess minus or like underscore or whatever, it always gives you the full, which is, oh no, sorry, that just goes in and out. Shift, wait. It's funny, once you start actually thinking about the hotkeys that you use like every day. There we go. Sorry, it's shift and then question mark. Yes. Shift and question mark. So if you're zoomed in, shift and question mark. Yeah, it centers your scene. So we can tell right off the bat that all of these are to Oh no, it's using the dimensions of them. So now that means that so it just titles your composition the same name as what your first one is, but we might want to, so you can right click and go to composition settings and call my storyboard. There we go. So it's actually just going to use the resolution from your things, which is fine and probably good. Also notice that why did it choose 48 seconds? Because each one is 3 seconds in length. So it counts that up and just automatically gives you a duration. You can change that anytime right here. Everything else is good. So the first thing, so now we have a timeline, so we can actually drag, this is called the playhead, like any animation software. You can drag it around and see how it is, but this isn't going to be live. To do it live, you have to press numpad 0. So numpad 0. And if that's not working, so now it's playing live, and we can actually see, because this green line is important, because if this is loading as you're going, then see, watch, if I move this around, see how it has to load it again? It's because it's like pre-rendering it kind of. Also notice that when you're moving that around, if you hold shift, it will lock according to like other whatever is around it kind of. So anyways, it loads really fast because it's just images. If this was animation, it takes a while to pre-render. And so this, when I press numpad 0, it does it, and that green line is all done. That means it's live. And I think it will tell you somewhere if it's 24 frames per second. Actually, I don't have this window open, but if I go to window, and I believe it's preview, it's over here. So it will tell you, yeah, and so there's different previews. So we do numpad 0. Critical thing, it's the work area and a place from current time, not start of range. That will drive you absolutely crazy if you have it at start of range, because every time, so even if you're out here, you press 0, it will start from the beginning, but you don't want that. You want it to start from wherever your playhead is. So current time, very important. Frame rate, obviously you want that to be, yeah, I think auto will just use yeah. Anyways, I think that's pretty good. So let's just be done with it. Wow, there's actually a lot of menu. There is, I remember there being, this is kind of like the little garbage heap of all the different menus over here. So lots of cool stuff, but we don't need any of that. So for now, like, this is a very basic animatic. It's all done to 3 seconds, which isn't probably correct. See, as I play this, I'm like, this is really slow, right? So how do we change the timing of stuff? And this is where something like DaVinci actually makes it a little bit easier, but with a few hotkeys, it can be pretty much just as easy. Because with DaVinci, you just move this around, and then the next video accommodates it. It just moves wherever, you know, that if I move this one, that one shifts over too. So yeah, it is a little bit easier, but okay, a couple things about the timeline. So this top one, this larger one, this is just the workspace. So it tells you what in this composition we're actually looking at. So if I press 0, it'll start over once it gets to the end of that work area. So this one just lets you visualize it in different sizes. So, and look at, you can see at 6 seconds, 8 seconds, and then you go smaller, and then it's like 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2.5 seconds. And then if you go really small, you can see frames, 16 frames, 20 frames. There's 24 frames. So 1 second and 4 frames, blah, 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 blah. So it just allows you to see things at different scales, which is super useful. In fact, that's what we're going to do right now. And then you can always just move this whole thing and see the whole timeline, or you can use your sideways scroll, your horizontal scroll, which is great. Okay, so a couple good hotkeys for this is, so say this sequence is way too slow. Okay, so quick way to do it is, this is a series of hotkeys, so bear with me. So let's say like we want it to be like 1 second. By the way, it'll always tell you right there what, like if you move your playhead around, so you can even input this. You can be like 0, 0, 1, like that, and then it takes you right to that point, and then I can do Alt bracket like that. There, you can see the hotkey down there. And then page up and page down is very useful to move individual frames. You can also do Shift page down, and you move, is it 12 frames? Yeah, I think it's 12 frames. It's like every two, so Shift page up, it just goes faster. This goes individual frames. So how it works is if I end it, yeah, so I'm at 1, Alt bracket, there, it ends the frame there. And then I press page down, aka I'm moving 1 frame forward, I go to the next bunch, and then I just do left bracket. So left bracket and right bracket, it just says like either start this scene here or end this scene here, basically. So left bracket is start this scene here. So it's funny. So the brackets, they're useful because it's like, yeah, if I wanted to start the scene at 2 seconds, then I could go page up, previous scene, alt bracket, and then it extends it out. So you can also just drag it. It's just a little clunkier. I like to be very precise with my the amount. So again, I'll end that at 1 second, page down, go to this scene, go to that bracket. And then I could go page down, page down. I think it might actually be 10 frames that it moves because it doesn't bring me to the next second. But anyways, okay, so 2 seconds, alt bracket, page down, grab this scene, left bracket, and then shift page down, and then I move a couple over, and then I'm at 3 seconds, and then I grab this scene, alt right bracket. Yeah, I could also do alt left bracket, by the way. You can cut it up as much as you want, but this allows you to be very precise. I find I get a little bit more fine-tuned with this than with DaVinci. So there, it's going a lot faster now. We might want to hold on this scene a little bit longer, actually, so I might just pull that out manually. Another nice hotkey, I brings you to the beginning of a footage, O brings you to the end. So I and O. So you go to O, that's your last frame, page down, grab the next sequence, bring it over. And then this one, I don't know, from here on I might just eyeball it. So I can even drag the playhead to wherever I want. Alt, right bracket, ends it there. Page down to the next frame, grab this next footage, bring it over with the left bracket, and then I keep timing it accordingly. Okay, so this is kind of how you can also hold shift, by the way, and use your main scroll to just move horizontally, whereas I don't have enough scenes here, but if I opened up a bunch of these, control tilde, then I need to scroll up and scroll down to see it all. And this is where it gets quite useful to have 2 different monitors. But anyways, this is a very basic starting point for timing out your animatic. I'll make another video to talk about keyframing, okay? So I hope this helps get you started.